everyone, to another episode of the Adeptus Ridiculous podcast. My name is DK Diamantes. My co-host is Bricky. We have a super special guest host, Kirioth. But before we get into that, if you enjoyed today's episode, head on over to patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous and consider supporting us. You get access to the Discord, bloopers if they happen, HD poster at the $15 tier, all that great stuff. Patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous. Bricky, tell them about the other stuff.
Every single episode, you get more and more complacent with the things you need to do. But okay,
what?
Go check out the orkidate.com, the merchandise site down in the description. There's great merch. There's our new little ridiculous tee and hoodie. It's great. There's also lots of the other little guy stuff, including posters of them. And other hoodies and long sleeves. It's very, very good. Lots of different kinds of merch. Go check out the merch. Love the merch, baby. Love the merch.
It's all about the merch.
And our book club is done from Day of Ascension. Gene Stealer Cults are badass. But now we are reading a new one. We are reading Bloodlines.
Woo-hoo.
A Warhammer noir crime drama. So check that one out. We will have that recorded probably sometime in November.
Probably. Like maybe
Should I
end
make
of
the-
November-ish, right?
Should I make the man in the walls joke again, or is that played out?
I mean, all of your jokes are played out, so I guess you might as well.
You are very mean.
There's some animosity going on this time round that I don't think I've heard before. It feels like it's getting more personal. Also, are you allowed to say that the man in the walls joke is played out when there's literal little guy posters? Is that not like a double standard thing?
Well,
That is a great point there, Kirioth. Counterpoint. Man in the walls does not make us hella cash.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair, actually, yeah. I don't know how you would monetize Man in the Walls. Like, it would just be creepy having a poster of that.
You know what? I disagree. Let's go. You and us, we do a collab project. We put you behind a wall, Carbonite style, and we have
God.
us shepherding you onto the black ships. That's the next merch. We'll make a poster of it. We'll split the profits. Bada bing. Then we can keep it going.
I only agree to this if it makes us hella cash, as you said.
Hella.
Hella
We are
cash.
California.
Yeah, we are. So yeah.
I'm on board. Why not? Let's
Hell
do
yeah.
it. Let's do it. Let's just go for it.
Hella
All right.
cash.
All right. What?
All right, what? All right,
sorry.
what?
Sorry, there was a smack on the bottom of my desk because of my fat, erect cock seeing this new goddamn Rogel Dorn tank. Am I right, Kirioth?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's made it into the... It'll date
Ew.
it somewhat, but I don't care. It's the best news that we've had 40k-wise, I think, since the last Imperial Guard announcement. So, it's the best. And a new
This is the
tank. I mean, they've named it after Rogel Dorn, which in my opinion is a mistake, but apart from that, amazing.
So I assume you're gonna tell me what makes this tank so great in today's episode, since Kirioth is kind of like the tank dreadnought, knight person. I'm assuming is that our theme today? Is the Rogel Dorn tank, or just tanks in general? Although we've done a general tank video, haven't we?
We have done the Imperial Guard tanks, yeah.
Yeah, and also this tank literally came out this morning. We couldn't have planned for that. That was just a lucky coincidence.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Although it still fits. It does kind of fit, because you could, if you're being properly... If you are a person of science, you could suggest that what we're going to cover today is basically every single tank or vehicle in Warhammer 40,000. To some extent.
Wait, what?
That is true.
Really?
But also,
Yep.
what?
All of them. Because we're going to talk about Ork vehicles, and every vehicle is an Ork vehicle.
Fucking go!
It's an Ork vehicle episode. No
I
wonder.
knew
No wonder Shai's so
Shai had
happy
a-
about today.
I knew Shai had a goddamn hand in this.
Yeah, no wonder she was actually early today. It all makes sense now.
Wow, the call out there. Yeah, there's a lot of Ork vehicles. We're not going to cover absolutely every single one of them, because when me and Shai were talking about this, I then suddenly remembered that there are so many of these that, there might be jokes about making 4 or 5 or 9 or 10 hour podcasts, but you could probably squeeze a good 4 hours out of just what the Orks have got before we talk about them stealing other people's stuff. Because over the years, they've had a lot of things. One of them is called the Bowel Burner, by the way. As in bowels, as in that. Yep.
No.
So you can, it really gets in there. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff with Orks, but luckily there's also quite a lot of things that you could simply say is a car with a gun on it, pretty much. There's quite a lot of Ork vehicles that are just some form of car with gun. So we can kind of gloss over a few of them as well.
Yeah. Whenever I imagine like an Ork vehicle, I just the most roughshod looking scrap metal slapdash thing put together possible. I don't imagine anything elegant, just too many guns that make no sense and just scrap metal everywhere that really it shouldn't work.
I must admit, I fought an Ork player at my tournament this last weekend, and he brought a couple vehicles. He was playing Goffs, and Goffs is the best, as it is written on Gaz Kothraka's actual data sheet. And I'm curious if we're going to be covering things like the kill rigs and stuff, because the kill rig is it's a very interesting vehicle.
They've definitely gone off the deep end recently. I'll give them that. There was a point there where, we can name a few of them right now. Things like the Boomdacker Snazwagon, the Custom Booster Blaster, the even the Ruckatrug Squig Buggy. Some amazing and also terrible names as well. Some of them look very uniform now. There's a few of the more recent ones that have lost a bit of that like mad science that Orks have got going on. But then they also bring out things like the Megatrack Scrapjet. So what they do is they take a plane that has crashed, then they stick a giant drill on the front of it, stick wheels and tracks on the rest of it, and drive it at people face first as fast as they can possibly go. So if an Ork pilot is downed with his plane, it's easier and quicker to just bolt a load of wheels to it and just send it straight back in. And that's what they do, and they use it to ram into people, and that's the kind of madness that I'm here for Orks.
Yeah, I vaguely remember us talking about that and thinking that was just a wild idea, that if you survive the plane crash, you just pop on a couple wheels and right into... Yeah. Oh, those are actually really cool looking. Shai's posting a bunch of the images. They're very cool.
The Mega Scrap Jet, Mega something Scrap Jet.
Mm-hmm. They look very Mad Max, the vehicles, actually.
Yeah, I feel like they took heavy like Mad Max inspiration for the last batch. Although there's always been a little bit of that, like even with the older models. So like, well, some of them. There is one called the Wartrack Scorcher, it's kind of fallen out of favor now. It's a super old model that I think was released with Gorkonauts, so like going way back, and that is a weird mix of like Mad Max tracked trike and just full-on World War II flame tank carrying a canister of like gas behind you.
Okay. I vaguely remember the carrying the gas behind you, but I think that was an Imperial thing, wasn't it? Like a flamer or something, like a mobile melta that needed to carry the gasoline behind it.
Oh my god, that horrible thing. Yes, that awful with the giant tank of gas.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. That thing was so awful. Would you say that was called? Would you say that was called Kirioth with the grot?
So this is the Wartrack Scorcher, and it is just a Wartrack with a flamethrower built into it. If I remember correctly, there is a grot in the turret that aims it and fires it whilst the Ork drives around.
I gotta admit, the funniest part about that isn't just how goofy it is, it's the fact that it's running with 3 sets of wheels. You have a front bike wheel, a treads, and then like those giant ones, the giant like T-Mobile, whatever they're called, the old cars. Like, it's so silly.
Also got to make sure that if an Ork is riding in the front there, it's got to be a short one. You can't have a tall one, otherwise he's gonna run into some trouble.
that top knot is gone. The second that they fire that top knot is no longer attached to his head. It's just
gone.
It's burnt off immediately.
That hair squig
Also,
is dead.
the grot doesn't get
which
suspension.
is a squig, which is a squig. But now that we think about it, so that top knot is a squig, and so it's killing his own squig.
It has to be, yep. He's got to duck. He's got to really scrunch in there to make sure his hair squig doesn't die.
Just gets worse the more you look at it. I don't. The thing with pulling the fuel tank behind it always makes me laugh. But I just love the fact that there's a grot on there as well, because that guy has no suspension at all. The bike's got suspension. The Trukks has got suspension. He's got metal wheels attached to a metal frame with explosive liquid underneath his legs. He's not going to be having the best day, although he does look like he's enjoying himself. To be fair.
He does.
I was about to say, I think he'll be having a very good day, but in his own way.
He's absolutely loving it.
Yep. He's having a good time. Yep.
I was also a little bit unfair. I mentioned earlier as well the Rucker Truck Squig Buggy. I kind of classed that as just a vehicle with a gun on it. I should have said that it is a vehicle with a gun on it, but it does also fire squigs. So it's a little bit of one, a little bit of another. They just have a big bunch of squigs on board, and they have a squig launcher that they use to fire squigs at the enemy.
Of course, you gotta have that, right? You gotta have a squig launcher.
If you look at it, you can see the squig barely poking his head out of the yellow tube right there in the picture. He's right there, just eyeing it. He's like, I'm coming.
He's just waiting for his time.
The Rucker Truck Squid Buggies were actually a ludicrously overpowered unit for a while in Orks.
They're very cool looking.
Yeah, they used to be able to lob their squigs with their, and I quote, heavy squig launcher up and over like cover, so you couldn't protect yourself from an onslaught of like 9 buggies just pummeling you with squigs. Yeah. Just an endless amount of squigs.
I feel like the whole like squig thing, they've definitely expanded what squigs are capable of, it feels like, because there is another vehicle that was like part of that big batch of October vehicles they did a few years back, which is the Shock Jump Dragster, which has a dedicated targeting squig. So
yes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the targeting squigs.
It's a great idea.
The Shock Jump Dragster is actually the one that was in Brutal Cunning that they teleported next to the Warlord Titan with.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a great idea for a vehicle.
Shot at it with.
Yeah. Did you read Brutal Cunning, Kirioth?
I've not got round to it yet. It's on my list, but I'm working my way towards it because it's orcs, and orcs are the best. I love orcs.
Everybody does.
It's got some pretty good moments.
Shai is reminding us that this is not a Squid Buggy episode. What else have you got, Kirioth?
Well, we do have a couple of grot-based things that we need to cover. There's an honourable mention here, okay? This is not an official thing, technically, kind of. There is a Games Workshop employee called John Ashton, and he came up with something called the Grot Track Bike, which is literally like a quarter of a Chimera, so just one of the tracks, that's been turned into a grot motorbike, basically. Which is the best idea I've ever seen.
What? What the
That's
fuck
amazing.
Is that?
That is incredible. I mean, that's not even really a motor. Well, I mean, yeah, sure.
I guess
that is one of the most orc things I've ever seen.
It's so good. It's got a big shooter, and it's got some bike teeth on the front, the ones that you got on the war bikes. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Just a grot with a single track going around the battlefield, probably failing to shoot anyone, but it's such a good idea.
It's so weird. That's orc. That is peak orc.
That's exactly what. Thank you.
Shocked.
That is exactly what I said to Shai earlier today.
So orc.
That might be the dumbest thing I've seen.
Which makes it perfect orc.
That might be, like, we've covered some interesting vehicles before. That might take the cake. Mm-hmm. That might be the dumbest thing I have ever seen in 40K. And that's a shock.
But it's so good, though. That's the thing. It's stupid, but it works because it's orcs. And of course they do that. It's great.
You can't help but love that.
It's just like I know that piece because like I built so many tanks before in my time. And I know exactly what that piece is. It's just one section of a fucking Lehman or a Chimera, and the Grot just took it and he's doing donuts.
Yep, he sure is. He's drifting.
God fucking damn it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It does go perfectly with the Grot tank as well. The Grot tank, I think, is one of the most underrated Ork vehicles. Like, everyone should have at least one Grot tank, and hardly anyone has them. It is literally what it sounds like. It is just a tiny, tiny tank piloted by a Grot, and it's the best. It's so good. They look ramshackle and borderline useless because they are, like, minuscule, as you'd expect, because Grots are tiny. I mean, look, is that not the cutest little guy? He's just a little guy.
He's just a little guy. He's just a little tank.
He's just a little tank, you know? He's just a little guy.
He's a little tank. It's not a big tank. It's a little tank.
So
all right, we'll stop here before we'll stop here before she cuts it from the fucking episode.
Yeah, and puts it up as a Patreon exclusive.
Gotta get it in where you can. The little guy references,
Patreon.com/Adeptus
Oh, it was smooth. It was the coughing, took away from the smoothness. But other than that, there we go. Oh, okay, it's so good. So
all right,
good.
These are very small tanks indeed.
Yeah, Shai's got some really well painted Grot tanks though. Those are.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Fancy.
I don't know why. They remind me of this. This is a reference. Did you ever see the film Batteries Not Included?
No.
I don't think I have. No.
So there's this film about, like, it's like a really weird, convoluted plot. But basically, there's these little alien robot things that fly, that like build themselves out of scrap or something, and they befriend like an apartment block of people that are holding out against their apartment block being demolished or something. It's really weird. But for some reason, the little Grot tanks remind me of those every single time. And I think I might be the only person who's seen that film. And so no one ever agrees with me. Ever. It never happens.
I mean, if they're just, like, robots that are made out of scrap metal, I mean, that's basically what Ork stuff is. They're just a bunch of shit.
It feels like it's right there, but no one else goes with me on it, which makes me sad. It's slightly different and more appropriate, though. To be fair, the little Grot tanks, they are cool, they are awesome, but they are not quite as awesome as the Grot Mega Tank.
The Mega Tank.
Because the Grot Mega Tank,
I think Shai has one of these.
It's so good. I think it might be one of my favourites just overall. It looks like a battleship on land. It's tracked. It's also, because it's a Grot Mega Tank, basically the size of a normal tank. So Mega's in the name. It's not in the way it looks or works or... I mean, look at that. It's so good.
That is a mega tank for sure. No two ways about it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is a mega tank. Whew.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm assuming
it's a mega tank.
Yeah.
But it's also just a normal tank because it's for Grots.
Yeah.
I'm assuming those are your mega tanks, right, Shai? Because they look fucking dope.
I love the war across the front. It's so good.
Everything else being like kind of a dusty metal that's all grimy, and then that just bright red wah. Yeah, it looks great.
Absolutely solid. Those are things that I hope Forge World never gets rid of. Forge World have done a lot of purging over the years of various kits. If they ever got rid of those, I'd be really, really sad. I'd be properly gutted. Yeah, it just wouldn't be fair.
I must admit, I'm looking, as you go through these tanks, I'm looking at their data sheets because I'm just curious. And I just love seeing the Grot Mega Tank is equipped with 3 big shooters, 2 twin big shooters, and 1 shooter. It's just so many shooters. It's just like shooters, 3 big shooters, 2 twin big shooters, and 1 shooter.
Just 1 regular shooter. You can't,
Yeah, you could equip it with a Grot Zuka. You can give it a Grot Zuka or a Scorcha if you feel like it. It's such. I love how the movement is also 6 plus D6 inches. because the grots don't know
So
how to work
unreliable.
together properly. Yeah, it's unreliable. So sometimes it moves 12, sometimes it moves 7. It's just like, I don't fucking know.
Very orc. Very orc. I love it. I love it.
The absolute best. The absolute best. It's so good. You know what? I tell you what. We should shift over to something that I wasn't going to bring up until later, but it's worth it because of how unreliable it is. Because I feel like this is a perfect segue to go into, not into like super heavy. Well, actually, this is super heavy, but it's so badly made. It's the Kill Crusher, and it has a significant chance of the main armament just failing to work repeatedly, to the point where I have also got the stats for it as well. Bear in mind, This is several editions ago, so it's like front armor 14, etc.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Kill Crusher, and when you fire the main gun, the Crusher Cannon, you have to roll a d6 because it's got different types of ammo. So you pick what you want to shoot, like you pick what you want to do with it. The special rules are that when the Crusher Cannon's grot-served auto-loader gubbins are a miracle of Orky design, they don't always work as they should. Every time the cannon is fired, declare which kind of shell you're trying to use and roll a d6. If you roll a 1, then roll again on the following table. 1 to 2. Dud. The gun jams, the grots get caught in the gears or the elastic breaks, no shot is fired this turn. 3 to 5. You mean this one? The cannon fires a boom shell regardless of the type the Orc commander is bellowing for, because grots love the boom. And on a 6, the shell is fitted in backwards or something equally catastrophic occurs, the Kill Crusher suffers an automatic glancing hit and no shell is fired.
Oh.
So no matter what you do when you're firing the Crusher Cannon, it's just going to go wrong.
Yep.
It's not good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I will make this clear. There are a large variance of different kinds of shells for this cannon.
Oh, yeah.
But on a 1 to 2, it duds. On a 6, it duds. And on a 3 to 5, it only fires the boom shell. So it can literally never not fire the boom shell. Why the fuck do they have all these other shells? It literally can never fire non-boom shell.
It's only going to fire that boom shell, if even that.
So good. It's so good.
What the hell? It's like they literally wrote rules for the other shells that it cannot fire in game.
Yep, it's got a tank hammer shell for taking out tanks, but you're never going to get that because it'll only ever fire the boom shell if it fires at all, or if it doesn't blow itself up trying to fire the one shell that you didn't ask for. It's amazing.
That's
the dumbest thing I have ever read.
That is. I mean, it fits the orcs though, as far as like if you want your rules to seem like they're canon to the faction you're playing. That's another one where it's about as orky as it gets.
It's amazing. I love it so much. It's one of those models where, you know, you buy it knowing that it's never gonna be worth it on the table, but the story you'll get out of it, the games that you'll have completely failing to fire anything or just blowing yourself up, it's perfect. Should I say it made it canon in real life by making the model itself so horribly made out of shitty resin. Building one was an insane ordeal, and it kept falling apart, and bits wouldn't fit together to the point where they removed it from sale forever.
Wow, way to go with the realism there, GW. It looks like a cool tank from the picture that's shown here, though. Like it looks.
It does. It's ridiculous. I don't understand how it works at all. Like it kind of looks like the tracks are turned by the wheel at the top, which is powered by a piston that goes into
a back motor. Yeah.
Is that a steam engine on the back of it? Like, is that how it moves?
Yeah.
I've never properly looked at the back of this thing, and now I am. I'm just like, what a disaster! What an absolute disaster from start to finish.
What an orc vehicle!
What an orc vehicle!
Amazing,
love it.
That's so orc.
So, on a slightly more reliable note, there are also things like the Big Track, which is just a gun platform, effectively. So there is a truck which has got the tracks on the back and the wheels on the front. There's also the war truck, which is just a standard transport. But the Big Track is a heavy vehicle, and they take it and they stick things like super cannons on it, or zap guns, or kill cannons, or flak guns, and I think it might be one of the best looking models that Forge World has for orcs.
Whoa!
It's so mean.
What the hell is that
Whoa!
gun? That looks like a Baneblade cannon, actually. That's been retrofitted.
Look at that thing. Holy shit.
It's
What the
awesome.
hell?
It's got like a big cannon on the bottom. It's got that big turret cannon. Oh man, that's
It's
dope.
like a piece of artillery.
Yeah, it's basically an Earthshaker cannon, but shorter ranged. So they'll take an Earthshaker and mess with it and make it not as good because it's orcs. But even just like the engine on that thing, it looks like it's got some sort of jet intake on the front. It just looks super aggressive.
Damn. That is so cool. What is that? What is it? Is Squig Tusk? Is that what it says? Oh yeah, and some kind of engine. I thought that was a cannon on the front. Honestly, I didn't realize that was an engine. I
mean,
thought it was just a big, like, you know.
I wouldn't put it past them, to be fair. Like,
To load up like a cannonball in there or something.
Yeah, if there's any faction that would just stick a giant cannon directly in the front of their vehicle, it's got to be the orcs.
Yeah, and they'd make it work.
That's the one.
Yeah. Damn.
The only thing that I
dope.
dislike about the big track is that it makes things like the battle wagon not look as cool. Because the battle wagon is otherwise quite a cool vehicle, but it's just not as mean as like a big track. And I have to admit, I'm a little bit of when I started playing Orks in like 3rd edition, if I remember correctly, there wasn't a battle wagon model for quite a while. It just wasn't a thing. You made your own out of Land Raiders and Rhinos and Chimeras and Leman Russes and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so a standardized battle wagon, I've never been a fan of. It is a cool looking vehicle, and it is ridiculous because you can stick multiple cannons on it. It's absolutely covered in shooters and big shooters. There's a bunch of additional things you can give it. Like if you're not using it for full-on transport, it becomes a gun wagon. So you've got that massive turret on the back with a smaller turret on top, just because more turrets is always good. Having things
Especially
like the Death Roller
Orks,
on the front, it's a great vehicle. But I've always been like, if I ever did Orks again, I would make my own. I would have to make my own.
Those look
Is this
really cool.
the Bone Breaker, or is this the Battle Wagon?
Yeah, so that's the battle wagon. That's
The Battle Wagon. Okay.
Yeah.
Those look
I dealt with
great, though.
I dealt with one of those with the Bone Breaker over the weekend. It rolled up and it looked at 10 cultists and was like, ha.
Lol.
And they all died.
Yep. Yeah, it's quite good. It's fun. It's like a really fun stat block and stuff, but it's just I want to see people make their own because I'm a bit of a stickler. But just for that, not for anything else. Everything else is fine. Oh yeah, there is the lifter dropper. So that's, I mean, yeah, there's good things. There's good stuff. But I'm a bit of a stickler.
Whoa!
Oh my god. That looks like the fucking like Magnets,
hell?
Mr. White. Hell yeah!
Whoa.
What the fuck is that?
It's such a good name for a weapon as well. It pretty much describes what it does. You can guess from it being called the lifter dropper what its deal is. I
I'm
think can't
assuming
you
it
also
grabs
attach
people and
that?
slams them or something, or
It's all like weird like tractor beam gravity nonsense.
yeah.
There we go. So the
Yeah.
massive tractor beam can lift enemy vehicles or drag them through the air and drop them, usually on top of enemy troops or even other vehicles. It's ridiculous. I think you can also stick it on a stomper as well. I think
Wow, that is a hell of a thing. Good God.
it's mad.
Shai likes how it's
usually enemy
enemy
vehicles.
vehicles. See a rival orc that you just don't like, and
That to me, that's peak battle wagon. That's the one you want. That's
Hell
absolutely the
yeah.
one that you should have.
hell yeah, absolutely. Good lord, that's almost as big as the tank.
It's like it's longer, isn't it? Like it is actually longer than the vehicle it's mounted on, and the fact that it's being pointed and aimed and operated by a dude sitting on a small chair right at the back.
He's he's like 20 feet back. How is he
So
aiming
good.
that?
So good.
So orcs, man.
They have the best vehicles in the game, especially because every other vehicle is also an orc vehicle. So they're really onto a winner. There's nothing that they can't take in some way, shape, or form and make it look cooler than it did before. I was just about to bring up the kill burster as well, actually.
Come on, Kirioth, kill burst.
Shy is the one running this episode
Oh,
now. She's
yeah.
like, come on, Kirioth, talk about this orc vehicle.
Shy is
Talk about this orc vehicle.
Shy is salivating at this episode, yeah.
There
Come
are
on, Shy, let's see it.
two varieties of these. There's the kill burster and the kill
Whoa!
blaster.
Let's go. That's
And
a
Alright.
big boy.
That's about what I expected to see.
Yep, it's funnily enough a heavy tank, massive, with just a gigantic cannon on the front for blowing up anything that's remotely fortified. Just anything that's slightly armoured, it goes after. It's also one of the coolest Forge World models just ever. Again, super aggressive. Like, it looks mean and like it's made of scrap, but it's also so good. Yeah, there we go. Next to a rhino, a looted rhino.
Damn.
Wait, look at the amount
like-
of guns
look at the-
poking
yeah.
out of the front. There's
Yeah,
like
that's-
1, 2,
Gun,
3, 4,
other-
5.
Jesus.
So that's the kill blaster variant. So the burster is for fortifications and enemy vehicles, and the burster is the burster is for fortifications, and the blaster is for everything else. They just stick a bunch of shooters and rattler cannons and normal cannons, and it's collectively referred to as the Giga Shooter.
The Giga Shooter.
As well it should be. Also, I love how you say, "Oh, it looks aggressive." Like, what orc thing doesn't look aggressive? That's like their peak aesthetic is just aggression.
So I see you say that, but there are, especially when you go back a few years, there's some questionable stuff that doesn't necessarily look aggressive, as it just looks a bit dopey. Like the war track, for instance. We saw the war track with the Scorcher on the top. The war track and the war buggy. They
Those
both
were
look
super aggressive. That's true.
They're very much like of their time. They haven't aged quite as well, and then when you see stuff like that, it's like they come from a different faction, to be honest.
Modern orc stuff is, I suppose, a lot different, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's also stuff that they just don't make anymore, which makes me sad, that is just as good as things like the Killboat and the Kill Blaster. So the Battle Fortress is one of my favourites as well, because it is a massive, super heavy battle wagon, effectively, but it's just covered in guns. It is absolutely huge as well. So it's one of the ones that, because it was in like Imperial armor and stuff, it has some actual specifications. So it's like it weighs 200 tons for instance.
Wow.
It also
Damn, these
allegedly,
are wild.
apparently, it can go 55 kilometers an hour on road, which is terrifying when you look at it.
Wait, what's the last one Shy posted? Is that the same thing? Is that the same kind of tank?
So there's a few different versions. There's the Battle Fortress, which is the first one that was posted. Then there is the Flak Battle Fortress, which has got like anti-air stuff on the back and
like
a
flak
battle
cannons
cannon on the
and-
front. And then the bottom one is a Skullhammer Battle Fortress, where they literally just take a Baneblade off the Imperial Guard and stick a like comedically large cannon on top of it.
I love that one. That was the best. That last one, the best.
Ridiculous. It's absolutely
Adeptus ridiculous.
Oh, he did it. Get your bingo
did it.
cards out.
Yay.
One little guy reference.
Ba-boom.
One little guy, one Adeptus ridiculous. One of Shy getting mad if we don't talk about the orc vehicles. Bam.
lying
Hell
them all
yeah.
up. Perfect.
Bingo.
So yeah,
damn.
to be honest, the Skullhammer cannon is basically just the same as the Baneblade's main cannon, but it's the Orks, so it usually looks bigger and more stupid. I love that. I love your
Skull
so
hammers are
good.
So cool.
So
I love
good.
that. Yeah. The fortress is pretty nice too. With that steamroller attachment with the spikes on it. That's
yeah. I think like the death roller on the front really, it just makes it.
Oh,
it makes
yeah.
it look properly Mad Max. I'm
That
really
death
sad they
roller's
don't
so
make them
sick.
anymore.
They don't make death rollers anymore?
Oh, they make like death rollers for the battle wagon, but not like the battle fortress as a model just doesn't exist, which is a shame because it's awesome.
That is a shame.
What they do still make though, which you can, I believe you can go and buy this right now if you wanted to. You could get yourself a Squigoth or a gargantuan Squigoth.
I know these.
This sounds
not
really familiar.
Not every orc vehicle needs to be an actual vehicle. You've got to be able to get in a bit of, I don't know what you class them as. Cavalry? I don't know. Probably not cavalry, actually.
Mounts?
Mounts?
Yeah,
A
mounts?
mount?
That sounds good, yeah.
It's basically just effectively a dinosaur with a castle built on the back of it. That's the only way I can think to describe.
It's those things. Yeah. I remember hearing about these guys. I remember liking the Squigoths quite a bit, sure.
They were also in Brutal Cunning. That has the Howdah.
Yeah,
remember?
that's the Howdah. Yeah. And they topple them all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, the
That is a
Squigoth, I think.
fierce beast. Look at that thing. That is... Jesus Christ.
I think that's the gargantuan Squigoth. I think the Squigoth itself is just one really big round squig. I'm pretty sure of it.
So there's big Squigoths and gargantuan ones, and that's the I think that is the gargantuan.
Oh, that's the giant squig. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, the big Squigoth it's still pretty big, but it's got the cannon on the front. It doesn't have like the side sections for the fortress they've built on the top of it. That massive squig is amazing.
That is a big squig. Holy
Yeah, the giant
That's
squig.
a
Let's go.
Big boy. Are those eyes on the side? What are those blue things? No, because the eyes are on the front. What are all those little blue orbs that are like? Can it eject those out of its skin and like?
Don't try to understand it. It's a
mushroom. Mushroom stuff.
It's too much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird shit. I don't know. Too
right.
confusing.
All right. They look like eyes. Creepy.
They really
Yeah,
do.
they
Although
do.
it has already got 6 eyes. I think it's
good
set
on
for
the
eyes.
site. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like little D20s.
It actually does. Oh no! Now I'm not going to be able to unsee that. I'm just going to keep seeing it every time I see that
Yeah,
model.
they kind of do look like dice, don't they?
Oh,
Roll
no.
persuasion to seduce the squig. Natural 20
Roll
gets-
charisma.
Natural 20 gets put in jar.
Ew. Squig jar.
That's not no.
That is yes.
We're moving on. Let's talk about the Mega Dread. I want to get away from that as quickly as possible.
Let's talk about that Mega Dread.
So there's a couple of different varieties. There's the Mega Dread and the Mecha Dread, and both of them are what they sound like: massive dreadnoughts, bigger than standard orc dreadnoughts. They make killer cans look really tiny and just really ramshackle pieces of nonsense. The Mega Dread is like, it's weirdly good, like it's weirdly well made, and it's absolutely covered in guns. So that's the the Mecha Dread, and the Mega Dread is the either of those. It's great. Look at the gun.
What in God's name?
I feel like you might have shown us these in the Dreadnought episode. That being said, they're still so cool.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
they look like
even if I've seen them before, they're so awesome.
They look like Death Dreads.
Yeah.
But these are like the big Death
Big
Dreads.
ones, yeah.
yeah,
Man,
they're
so sick,
absolutely
though.
massive. They're so good. But I'm using those as like a bit of a springboard to get onto some of the walking orc vehicles, because they've got the Gorkonaut and the Morkonaut, which are both ridiculous transports. So everyone else, they go for, something with wheels, something with tracks, something that is, maybe a bit of legs if you're feeling adventurous for some of the weirder types of rhino, for instance. But the orcs go for a giant walking orc with a massive, shield section across the stomach where all the boys huddle together.
Oh yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, you got a massive shield. Of course, they're gonna huddle up with that. Yeah.
It's such a weird idea for a transport. I'm still not sure how I feel about them, if I'm honest, because I don't know. They've already got battle wagons and stuff. It feels weird they depart and go for a legged creature. But on the other hand, it is like a giant orc striding across the battlefield shooting people. So I can see why they like it.
We got to think about the most important thing, which is that it can, without, like, treads are fun and all that, but it's far more fun to step on things.
That is true.
And orcs would much rather prefer.
That is true.
You're thinking too hard about this. You're putting too much effort into it.
Yeah, look at all the shooters on its arm too. All the DACA you can get out of that thing.
You're right. I mean, punching things and stamping on things is more fun than shooting them, and they've given it feet and they've given it a massive claw. So really, actually, it is perfect for orcs.
Shai said you can't see it, but the minigun, which is made of miniguns, is actually piloted by a boy sitting in a little chair behind. Is it really? Oh yeah, there's a little guy back there. You can kind of see him. Yeah, that's so weird. That's so strange.
It's really weird. It's really
They
cool.
They are a little derpy looking though. To be fair,
I'd like to keep this as a quote from here on out. You can't see it, but the minigun, which is made by miniguns, is actually piloted by a boy sitting in a chair. The minigun,
which is
made
of
miniguns.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's a minigun of miniguns. You know.
Again, I feel like peak orc, right? You can't just have someone controlling that from inside it.
No.
That'd be way too difficult. You got to have a lad sitting outside, as it walks around, presumably being fired at a lot, because who wouldn't try and take that out? And you just got a lad having the absolute time of his life, sitting behind a gun made of guns, just loving life.
I like how in that one picture it looks like it is just stuck like that. Like it can't really move up and down. It's just stuck in that stationary position. Like when I first looked at it, I thought that was an arm that moved up, down, front, back, side. But no, it's locked into that position. That is a.
And he's still enjoying himself.
He's
got the perfect job.
Come on.
He's got the perfect job. Doesn't need to do anything else.
They probably fight for that job.
A massive broad sea who sits behind the gun made of guns. This scales up as well. So there's also gargants and stompers. Gargants, great gargants, and mega gargants. Basically, they are massively scaled up versions of Gorkonauts and Morkonauts, kind of walking fortresses covered in guns, as you might expect. And there's also the Stomper, which you can currently get one of those if you wanted a Stomper, and it looks like how do I properly? I would say it looks like a massive thing in a dress made of metal.
Yes, it does. I mean, you're not
built
wrong.
Out of all the spare parts you could possibly want, to be honest.
Whoa, is that like a... Shai, did you just post like an x-ray of one of these things? Is that what that is?
Yeah, they did like a cutaway of it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Look at all the grots for throwing in coal, forging away at the centerpiece.
The toilet that's got a squig that's trying to eat the little guy. Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't even see that. Yo, snakes on a plane, but literal.
That is great art though. Whoever did that, that's amazing.
I enjoy looking at the Stomper's profile with its mega choppa, with its strength of 20, its AP of 5, and its damage of 9. 9. I have never once that is Tau railgun levels. It's its wounds of 40.
Damn. Oh, that's 40. Right. Brutal Cunning. They teleport the Mega Gargant and they really mess some admech shit up with that. Yeah.
This thing is a very bad unit in game, but it has so many guns.
It's so good. It's all the things that orcs love. It's still heavily armored. It still walks. It's got every weapon that I think they have access to. To be honest, I think it's got literally everything. Then being like, there's a version where like there is a gun that comes out of the gut. so it has like a gun as well. There we go, belly gun. It's size lifted everything. The regular Stomper can feature many weapons and upgrades, including, let's just reel them off: Mega Chopper, Death Cannon, Super Gatler, Super Rocket, Crushable, Death Arsenal, Lifter Dropper, Belly Gun, Gaze of Mork, Big Shooters, Scorchers, and a red paint job to make it go faster.
What's the Gaze of Mork?
I think that's
that?
the...
I remember the Gaze of Mork. The Gaze of Mork was also in Brutal Cunning. It was like, yeah, it's like the super giant eye laser that just like, it's just, it has this big old angry orc eyes. It just stares at them and goes, and it fucking dies.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I vaguely remember that. Okay. I didn't realize. I don't know why, but it seems so strange to me for orcs to use like lasers. So I guess it just immediately didn't register, and I just kind of forgot about it. Because whenever I think of orcs, I'm just like, yo, they're just gonna be like raining bullets on you and just taka 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 taka.
Did you know that in the Gorkonaut and Morkonaut have, and I quote, the Claw of Gork, or possibly Mork? It's literally its name in the goddamn thing, which is just wonderful.
I'm not quite sure.
It's so good. I feel like the Forge World version of the Stomper is the better one, largely because it has the Gaze of Mork and the Lifter Dropper. It's got like all the most fun options. It's got those. And
Hell yeah.
And the massive gun sticking out the stomach is... It's even by their standards, like for orcs, it's really silly, but I really like it. Also, I think I'm pretty sure it's just the same gun that comes out of the kill burster. Oh
sure.
no! The fun part of the Stomper is that it has 200 parts and no instructions for building.
Oh no! Really? You just gotta figure that shit out. Well, I mean, that is, if you're gonna be an orc player, that's you gotta get used to it, right? I guess. I'm sure. Surely someone online has compiled like an actual here's how you build it roughly.
Nah, surely not. Surely you just if you buy one, you've got to go through the. You've got to go through it. You got to
build it like a real orc.
Yep.
This is an orc weapon. You need to build it like an orc. Don't puss out.
Yeah, you gotta be your orkiest self.
You gotta go super glue. You gotta go green stuff and milliput and epoxy, like what is it, epoxy resin or whatever. You've got to suffer for it, otherwise you're not a true orc. Is how it works.
I don't know. Their walkers look a little too derpy to me. I mean, I am not one to talk because I look very derpy, but I don't know. They look a little too much dirt for me.
They are.
There is a certain
silly, but
there is a certain level of derp that I think orcs reach. Like Killicans and some of the tanks and stuff. Mm-hmm. Pretty good. But I will admit the Stompa is a bit much. And I think it's mainly because it's so bottom heavy.
Maybe it might be the bottom heaviness. Yeah, because the Dev Tread looks awesome. Dev Treads look dope.
Yeah,
something about the last two are just kind of.
I think it's because they're because everything else when it comes to walkers and stuff, the armor's quite fitted to it, so it looks like a giant person wearing armor for the most part. Especially all the different titans for the Imperium and the different Eldar titans and stuff. It's very kind of form-fitting in a way, but the Stomper is just okay, how do we cover up all this stuff?
Lampshade.
Yeah, it's just, what do we do to cover all the important bits up? Build a massive, wall
Dome
around it.
Yeah.
Let's just do that. It's way easier. Which does make it... it always makes me think of, those things that, old people have that they put them over toilet rolls, the spare toilet roll on the windowsill.
What?
Do you not? Oh God, is this a
that
UK thing?
That might be a British thing.
Is this a British thing? Oh no. So there's
I'll laugh at this user British.
For a while there was a trend. I think sort of late 60s, early 70s or something. But then old people just kept it up, where to hide your spare toilet roll, you would put something over it, like a doll that had a big dress on to cover up the toilet roll.
Why?
There's gotta be... I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know why you wouldn't want people to know that there's an extra toilet roll in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a thing.
That's weird.
Both of my grandparents did it, and I don't know why.
Maybe it's just
and
for decoration's sake, because they just
I
think it
guess
looks
so.
unsightly to have that extra roll there. So it's like, oh, here's a decoration, right?
The problem is,
Purely
I
aesthetics.
see the Stomper and I think of that. Is my main issue.
You think there's a toilet roll under
It's kind of like seeing that when you're a kid. You become like, I don't know. The first time I saw one, I was like, that looks a lot like
Yep,
that looks like someone is smuggling toilet rolls, and I don't know that that's a look I can really get on board with.
Yeah. Shy said, if you're an orc fan and want a Death Dread, I say just buy a knight and loot it. I mean,
That is the
I guess
well,
you could. Is that something you can actually do?
A Death Dread is very small comparatively. It's like a dreadnought size. A knight is enormous.
The Mega Dread.
You might-
It'd be perfect.
Oh,
for
Mega
that.
Dread. She meant
Mega Dread.
Dread.
Okay.
Got you. Okay.
I was like, wait a second.
I was like, wow, you can upscale it like that? Holy shit. Though those Death Dreads do look really cool. I love the skull. I think we talked about this, but yeah, I love Death Dreads. They're so cool. I'd run a whole squad of them.
They're
Just
one
Death
of
Dreads.
one of the best like walkers that Games Workshop have done. They look incredibly mean. They look like they might actually work somehow, kind of.
Yeah.
Like they look more feasible to me than like the standard box Note. They look
Yeah,
more capable than that. So
As far as orc technology works, it does look like something that would function properly. Yeah.
it's kind of unique in that, really.
Yeah.
Weirdly, they don't have a lot of weird aircraft. Now, their aircraft are, I would say, some of the most sensible in the game. Because you look typically at, like, if you look at most, like, Space Marine aircraft, they're all dumb and stupid, and they don't look like they'd work. Like, if you look at, like, the transport that the Space Wolves have, is it the Storm Wolf? I forget what it's called. It's the one that looks like a brick with tiny wings out the back of it.
Storm Raven.
I think the Storm Raven's the
referring to, right?
generic one, isn't it? Just the standard Space Marine one, the Storm Raven. There's like, but they all look like
Yeah.
boxes, basically. They all look like boxes with wings that wouldn't function.
Flying boxes.
Yeah. Weirdly,
the
the
Hulks.
Orks have got like these.
Oh yeah, those are just
actually look
normal-looking
feasible.
planes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
They often. I know the one that always gets me is the Burnabama, because that's probably the most orky of them all, because it's just like never-ending flames in like plane form,
Yeah.
and you can fly it at your enemy and blow it up, which is very fun.
Yeah,
It's-
that's such a
it's
weird
really cool.
departure from orcs, because everything else is like, oh, look at how shoddy this is. Look at all the extra parts you can, and like that yellow plane is just like, look at how well constructed this plane is. Like it's a plane. It's a good looking plane with a turret on it, and it's like, wow, that looks like they put some thought into building this thing. Like,
Yeah,
they didn't just
it's
ramshamble
really
it with
odd.
some water. Huh.
It's cool though, because I like the fact that I like the fact that for a start there is something that looks like it would actually work.
Yeah.
But it's just weird that it's the Orks who got that, you know.
Yeah.
Even the
It's strange.
helicopters don't look all that stupid. So they've got something called the Warcopter that I don't believe you can get anymore, but it's probably one of the silliest aircraft they have, and it still doesn't look completely insane. It still looks like it would kind of work, because it's basically just a 2-rotor helicopter, and that's it. It's a bit ramshackle. It looks a bit kind of like it's not long for this world, but it's still relatively sensible for them. Also, yeah, I was going to say also known as the Chin Orc.
I mean, that's a little more on the ramshamble sort of orc aesthetic that I expect.
I hate the Chinook so much. Chinook so much. I like, you want to talk about things that look dumb? Yikes! Yikes,
It doesn't look that bad, does it?
dude!
It's fine.
What?
I mean,
Look, what?
It's just some helicopter blades and some seats on like a sled.
How can you not like the Stompa? But you look at this and you're like, yep.
No, well, now, hey, I'm not saying this is like peak aesthetic that I love, but it's fine. It's not, I'm not aggressively hating it or anything. It's fine.
It could be a lot worse.
I'm aggressively hating it.
Okay.
Yo, Shy, what is that?
Yeah, I was about to say there is another.
Killer?
It's another John Ashton creation. So the guy who did the Grot tank, the Grot trike bike thing that was just a Chimera hull panel, and that was the whole thing. He also made this, which is the Driller Killer. And
what in good God?
Why would a plane need 3 drills on it like
What
that?
the fuck?
it's not really been fleshed out outside of a mech saw a tectonic frag drill and wondered if he could put wings on it, and then it worked. He put wings on it. I don't really know how it operates.
Man.
I don't know whether it's an air-to-air sort of deal. I guess maybe.
It's got to be for like drilling through stuff, I guess. Although, you take that same design on the Driller Killer, take off the drills, and just put on 3 like mega cannons or something. That'd be a pretty cool like fighter pilot ship bomber thing.
That's fair.
I unironically am gutted that is not an actual model I can field in game.
It is so good. It's
Crazy.
Perfect orc approach to things.
Shai said the description says you just crash it into enemies, which would cause a lot of damage.
Yeah.
That would.
I guess it doesn't matter what enemy at that point, because if all you're doing is trying to crash it into things, if you find something in the air that's close enough, you might as well go for it. If you see something on the ground that's close enough, may as well go for that. Really, it's like an all-purpose aircraft.
If the drills are strong enough, you could probably literally fly it through something and come out the other side okay, I guess. Would physics let you do that? I don't think so, but whatever.
If it's the orcs and there's enough of them around, then probably.
Oh, that's true, yeah. You got enough orcs with the watts, like, oh, he's going through him, and like a hot knife through butter.
Love the idea of it being so powerful that it goes through one side of a planet and comes out the other. Oh, the grot bomb.
What is that?
It's grot bomb. It's a grot.
Don't you fucking say that to me and just like end it like that and be like, oh come on, it's a grot bomb.
Hello,
Ricky, don't you
Ricky,
understand
it's
that?
a grot
What do you
bomb,
mean?
Ricky,
It's a
come
grot.
on.
Oh god, it's literally a bomb. He's literally a
whatever
bomb.
plane drops that looks so cool though with that paint job. Oh my god, what is that?
It's a grot bomb.
No, you idiot! The thing that's dropping them.
An orc.
Oh god. So it's the grot bomber, funnily enough,
wow.
That's what it does. Drops grot bombs, and the grots pilot the bomb. Makes perfect sense. You've got an abundance of grots. You've got some hard to hit targets. I mean, it's a problem. It's a problem that solves itself, isn't it? Just stick pilots in the bombs,
sure.
you're good to go, and no one cares because
they'll
grots.
pilot and make sure it hits the target. Sure, obviously.
I'm very upset that I even doubted you. My apologies. I'm so sorry.
It's called the
it.
Mega Bomber. Yep. Okay. Cool. What else? What else do we have?
I think to round out, we'll do just a couple of super weird ones. So Bricky earlier brought up like the kill rig and the hunter rig as well. Super weird, super weird vehicles because they are basically trailers being pulled by giant squig creatures. Now the problem that I have is I always forget what the actual squigs are called for these. Tramplasquigs, I think is the name.
Yeah, they're the Tramplasquigs. Yeah.
Ever since I started calling the smaller ones Piggly Squigglies, now, because they're squig hogs, so I just call them Piggly Squigglies every time. Now I can't remember the name of any of them legitimately without really thinking about it, because I just want to say Piggly Squiggly. So, hunter rigs and kill rigs, they're just trailers pulled by giant Tramplasquigs covered in weapons with either a harpoon or a weird boy.
Oh, it's these things.
Yeah.
Oh, these things are great. Yeah, I've seen these. These are fantastic. Love it. Piggledy Squiggledies. I feel like you told us that before.
I probably have, yeah.
It sounds familiar.
It's gotten bad.
It's good though. I like the name. It's gonna stick with me. Piggledy Squiggledies. I like it.
I have also
don't
seen
like
it
it.
like in the wild a few times now, which is concerning because that means other people agree, and they shouldn't really.
No, everybody should call it that. Everybody should call it the Piggledy Squiggledy. Yeah.
I really particularly like that. That's the hunter rig, I think. The kill rig is something I fought a bit, and they're right now they're really damn good. But
Isn't that the one
the
that's
weird
like a
boy.
big Isn't there like one that has a bigger version of the Piggledy Squiggledy, the squig thing?
That's the Squigoth that we talked about earlier.
There
But
was
the kill rig looks identical to this, so there's just a fucking psyker weird boy on the top, like screaming.
yeah, and there's a massive like skull in front of him made out of like metal and stuff that like focuses his power. I think it's so
wow.
weird.
He's just
You gotta
losing
give
his
him the
mind up
Mad
there.
Max. You gotta give him the Mad Max guitar or something at
Yep.
the top up there.
Just blowing out flames. Hell yeah, those are sick.
It's to be fair, it's great. I really like them. They're very daft even by Orc standards, but there was a while ago, I forget who made it. You might be thinking, DK, there's a conversion that's been going around for like a couple of years now of a like giant squig pulling a battle wagon. That's
Maybe.
shown up like quite a lot. I forget who did the conversion now, but there's like someone basically started building something like this before this was a thing, like by quite some way as well. So it might be that you've seen that you're thinking of.
Maybe, yeah.
So I think to round out, there's two Orc tanks that you're not really going to see anymore because they were part of Epic for the most part, and they are probably too weird to ever be returned to. The Brain Crusher is the first one. So the Brain Crusher it's a tank that also has basically a small house / castle built into the back of it with a gigantic cannon sticking out the front.
Wow. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yes. That's the dumbest thing you've seen like so far.
Yes, so far that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Yeah.
Is there gonna be another one?
Oh yeah, so this is stupid. So the Brain Crusher cannon fills the entire body of the tank, which is why there's a tower on top, because otherwise the crew wouldn't fit on the tank. And it's not that like the cannon is designed to destroy the enemy's brains or something from a distance. It's called the Brain Crusher because of the noise and vibrations that the Orcs crewing the vehicle experience. So it's so bad that they themselves have their brains crushed just by being in proximity to this thing when it fires. So that is...
Good name.
That is silly, but it's still not quite as silly as the Weird Boy Tower, which is literally just a tower on tracks with a Weird Boy on top with satellite dishes to amplify their psychic powers, which I would argue is actually sillier than the Brain Crusher.
I think that might be sillier. Just you've essentially got a psyker up there with 2 megaphones to just run. It's okay. Yeah, that's yeah. I think that might take the cake.
Which also means that the kill rig is not as new as people might think. Because that's what the kill rig has.
No, but I must admit, I think I appreciated it a little bit more than with the giant orc skull than the 2 satellite dishes.
Yeah, it's definitely not aged all that well, that one. Although that is also an epic model, so it's never going to be that far up in terms of like model quality. Yeah.
Oh, Shy
Go for
says
it,
she
Shy.
has a few dumb things to mention. Go ahead. Let's see what dumb orc things Shy can bring out. If Shy ever shows it to us.
Yeah, Shy.
The pressure is unreal.
Ugh.
I
God,
thought
here
you
I
had
am
it
waiting.
already, and
Ugh. I can't believe I've been lied to like this. What the fuck?
whoa.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that
the
an orc
submersible.
submarine?
Oh, how did I forget the submarine? Oh, I can't believe I forgot that.
All right, the squig catapult doesn't surprise me. This is pretty.
Oh yeah,
this is pretty on
squig
brand as
catapult,
far as I'm
yeah,
concerned.
that is very on brand. I just assumed they had stuff like that.
However, with that rocket, what is the pulsar rocket?
Yeah, what is
It's
the
amazing.
pulsar rocket?
That is so good. I
Can you
can't
imagine
believe it.
being stationed in that little building when they shoot one of those rockets?
And look at the size of the orc, like the orc for scale. What?
That is a big rocket. That is
Okay, here we
that's
go.
Gonna
So-
cause some destruction.
It contains a large and unstable force field generator. So it's a special version of the custom force field mounted on a rocket and launched into enemy ranks. What? The generator is modified into a special version called a pulsar and detaches from the rocket and slowly descends, hopefully, to the ground. It says hopefully in the description. The pulsar launches waves of energy in all directions like a stone on a pond, which sends troops into disarray as they are thrown around and vehicles are flipped over. Most of the time it will burn out after one massive pulse, however on some occasions it can continue to fire. The crew doesn't need to be able to see where the rocket is going. Ultimately, as long as it lands somewhere in the area of the enemy, it's fine.
Wow. All
That's mad.
right. That is a little wacky crazy. Yep. It doesn't look well. I was gonna say it doesn't look stupid, but yeah, it kind of does.
It looks
mean-
stupid.
By orc standards, that's fairly well engineered as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
really.
that looks very orc. You know, it doesn't surprise me that they'd pull something like that out of their ass.
I feel like if you build that in the wrong place, you're in real trouble. Because if you build it pointing a certain way and the enemy approaches from a slightly different direction, you're not going to be able to use that. It's
Yeah,
not turnable,
definitely.
is it?
That's definitely like you have to see the enemy way off there and be like, okay, they're in
yeah.
perfect position. Let's fire this thing. Yeah.
Oh, there is an epic scale one that's on a little tank. So actually, you could get away with it. They have got a tank-based version. So maybe like pass judgment too quickly on the orcs there.
Yeah, good for them for
I think that's-
thinking it through.
Since I remember this just before Shy posted those, here's the Gut Ripper, and I will just let it speak for itself.
Yo, Mr. Krabs on wheels.
He's got those little crab hands.
Mr. Krabs.
Crab people. Yep. Wow, that is. Oh, is that like a tiny little? It was like a micro machine tank.
So that's an epic scale Gut Ripper. So it would just normally be like a tank the size of a Predator, but with a pair of pincers on the front.
Of course.
Still
Nice
got the
bright
cannon
orange
as well.
pincers, Yep.
Yep.
Oh boy. Orcs, man.
That is
Orcs.
that. You know, I have consistently been outdone by the dumbest thing I think I could have seen, again and again, and now Shy posted another one that might be worse.
The nautical cruiser.
That's the wonder of orcs.
How there?
Wow.
Where does the guns end and the ship begins?
I don't.
That's the trick. The ship is just made of guns. There's no ship. It's just guns. It's just
There have
guns.
even guns coming out of the eyes on the skull.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is peak, or that is maximum orc. It shouldn't fly. It shouldn't work. But there's probably like a shitload of orcs on there, so it does.
I love how completely asymmetrical that is as well. Like there's just one.
Yeah.
It looks like one side of it got like the prime choice of guns, and on the other side they just went, yeah, whatever we've got left over will do fine. That's okay. Whatever.
It'll be fine. They won't
So
attack us
many-
from that direction.
I've just noticed that the central column has got a turret that's sat on another turret, but the turrets are also covered in more guns that look like they're also attached to turrets that are sticking out the side of the original two turrets.
That is an orc
Listen,
cruiser. Hell yeah.
You specifically told me not to think too hard at this, okay? So
True. You
It's
did.
true.
You did tell
It's
him
fair.
that.
Oh my
just
god!
we just accept what we have going on here and like live the life.
Living the orc dream. Damn.
It's
So is
absolutely
that
stupid?
is that it? Have we finished it off with the nautical cruiser?
I think so. I'm just very quickly seeing if I can find an image of the best ever Ork kit bash, but if not, I'll just have to send it later. Shy will most likely be familiar with this, it being someone who made like their own Ork warboss / mech, and just took like Tau kits and Knight kits and bits of every single kit you can imagine and just plastered it in guns. I think it stands like as tall as a Knight, if not taller, and it's just guns and nothing else, with like a single face sticking out the middle, and I'm desperately trying to find a picture of it and I can't, but I'm sure that can be inserted at some point because it's amazing. It also looks like it probably cost about $5,000 to make, which is... But there we go. There we go. Shy's got it.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
I knew that Shy'd be able to find it. I knew it. Look at that lad.
I don't even know. I can't even tell what it's supposed to be. Is it a walker? Well, what is that?
Yeah, it's a walker. I don't know what it counts as. I'd imagine he's probably just made up his own stats for that.
Yeah.
It probably costs 2,000 points
2,000
by itself.
points,
yeah. I just look at.
Holy shit!
I mean, oh my god, it's so much stuff. It's so much. There's 4 Lehman Russ battle cannons on one hand. One hand. That's not even all of it. That's just one hand. 4 battle cannons. Oh my god.
Those guards' feet are screwed.
Oh, definitely. That's not an official one, but I feel like that is also peak Ork. You can't beat that for just, what are Orks? Show someone
Ork.
that, and they'll know immediately.
Yeah, you basically got the idea of Orks, sure.
That was basically all the maddest and best Ork vehicles.
Hell yeah. That was fun. Orks are always fun. It's always fun when there's an Ork episode, because they just make no sense.
They're amazing.
Making sense is against the point of the Orks.
It's against the Ork credo to make sense.
Stuff that they do that makes sense is actively worse than the stuff that they do that doesn't, I think. It just goes against everything that makes them what they are.
Damn.
Also, making sense is boring.
So boring. Accuracy.
This is also true.
Accuracy.
Entertainment before accuracy, as we say.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was some shit.
To say the least, yeah, to put it mildly.
I feel like you've been scarred for life off this. so many weird things.
I need a pain boy.
Magic pain glove. Tell me what to do.
Magic pain glove. Tell me what I must do.
Yep.
Buy the Ork Gargant. What's that big one?
The Stompa.
Mega Gargant? Oh yeah.
The forge-wall Stompa with no instructions.
No. That one you just posted.
Oh, that. Yeah, we don't know what that is.
I don't think that's a name.
Okay.
That is literally someone just built it, and it just is. Don't know what it's supposed to be. Don't know what it counts as.
Custom creation, yeah.
Just a custom creation made of, I think, every kit that Games Workshop do, pretty much.
His name is Gunther.
He's brought the guns.
Yep, he sure has.
Oh no.
All right. I think we can round this one out.
Right.
Kirioth, do you want to shout yourself out?
Oh yeah, I've got a YouTube channel called Kirioth TV, or Kirioth, one of the two. You can find it either way, and I do Warhammer stuff, and that's it, really.
And
Nice.
and we'll make sure we'll get started on that In Your Walls merch, you know?
Yeah. It's gotta be done.
Well,
Has it
let's
done?
make them. It's about the money, baby.
All about the money, the hella cash.
All right. Chai, any final Ork words to be said before the episode's over?
Wow.